forgotten is right this. I've been missing things and you don't listen. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those who do not know me, my name is Khidr and this is Khidr Unveiled, where we talk about locks, love, and a Christian lifestyle. So today, guys, I am coming to you with some singleness realness, okay? I have been married for 3 years in March. In March of 2022, it will be 3 years that I have been married to my lovely husband. But I thought it would be pretty cool after watching a lot of different videos. And this topic just kept coming up about singleness. And I thought it would be cool to make a video for all of my single people out there who, are trying to live a Christian lifestyle, who may be struggling. And I think it's really important that we who are Christians really talk about our Christian, lifestyle when we were single, what mistakes that we make, what things that we wish we did. And I think when we share our testimonies, it really does help other people. So today I got all types of goodies for you. I got all types of not tips really. Yes, they're tips. They're tips on how to stay, mindful during your singleness. And I'm going to be sharing some of the mistakes that I made during my singleness and some of the things that I wish I would have captivated more during my single stage. So guys, without further ado, let's get into this video. All right, guys. So first things first, my first tip would be learning how to be God's girl or God's guy. The reason why I put this first is because this was something that was said to me during my courting phase or my dating phase with my now husband. My mother-in-law actually told me and actually told my husband to make sure that I was God's girl before I was his girl. And although that was so simple, it was so mind-blowing and profound, because I don't think we really understand what it means to be God's girl or God's guy first. So let me just break that down a little bit. When it comes to being God's girl or God's guy, in my terms, it really means submitting your whole self to God first and being okay with where your life is right now. Being okay with where God wants to take you, being okay and being vulnerable before God, and really trusting God with everything in your life. I really do believe that sometimes as singles, we tend to, get frantic as if God is not going to take care of us, or God forgot about us, or that, we're never going to get married. And some people won't get married. Some people don't get married. And that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to those who have that desire or feel as though that they know they're going to get married, I think we have to be okay with trusting God's timing, and trusting that the time that he uses to prune us, to, carve out all of the nastiness in us and really put in us, things that he wants to see: joy, love, peace, understanding, and so much more, that we don't really take the time to appreciate what God is doing in our singleness and how it will later help not only ourselves, but our future spouses. And I think that was one thing that I wish I would have captivated more during my singleness, because don't get me wrong, I was doing everything that, I should have been doing. I was going to church. I was in my word. I was praying. I was fasting. I was going through periods of isolation when God needed me to. But at the same time, during those periods of isolation, or during those periods where I was supposed to be fully still before God and fully focusing on me, I was still worrying, okay, okay, God, like, I'm single. I've been doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm praying. I'm doing this. Did you send him yet? Like, is this him? Oh, this him? And don't get me wrong. At times, I was still like questioning, like, oh, God, is that? But I've learned not to be, you know, boy crazy. And that goes into my second point. Stop looking to see if every boy, or for my guys, every woman is your spouse. Like, the next person is not going to be your spouse always. Like, sometimes God wants you to be single for a while so that he knows that he has your heart, and you have to be okay with that. Like, you're not missing a lot being in a relationship. Like, don't get me wrong, it is beautiful being married to the right person. Let me say that. It is beautiful when you are married to the right person. But when you are rushing to get married and you don't marry the right person, it's all type of riffraff that's going to happen. It's all types of trials and tribulations that you're going to go through. And don't get me wrong, it's not like you get married to the right person and you don't go through trials and tribulations. But when you're married to the right person, those trials and tribulations begin to become idle, where you start looking at things like, why are we arguing? You start learning how to communicate. You start learning how to adjust to certain things. You learn that your other partner is fighting with you and not against you. And that's a big deal when it comes to marriage. And I think a lot of us, especially during our singleness, we try to make everybody our spouse. We try to make everybody think, oh, I have the wife qualities. I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to clean for you. I'm going to give you all these gifts. I'm going to give you the wife benefits when I am not even your girlfriend. Stop. Ladies, especially my ladies, listen, come here. Look, here, pay attention. Stop making these boys your husband without a commitment. Like, stop. It is harmful to your spirit, it is harmful to your soul, and it is harmful to your next spouse. Because the things that you are comfortable with doing in your singleness, when that person take advantage of you, when that person, you know, overdo things or, you know, hurt you, when it comes to being with your spouse and your spouse tries to do the same thing or mimic some of the old, you know, old things that the last person did, you're going to be so turned off when you shouldn't. Like, you should not be turned off for your future spouse because of what somebody else did, because you chose to give them benefits that they didn't deserve. Like, I know the world is telling women and men that it's okay to, like, sleep around. It's okay to do, you know, all of these marriage-like things while you're single. I know that's what they're telling you. And, like, let me tell you, that's dead. Like, people really think, like, oh, you can have sex without having any issues. And for me, as a Christian woman, let me tell you, I don't believe that. I don't believe that an ounce, because you don't understand the amount of soul ties and amount of demons and spirits that come with it that will attack you and your future spouse. So for me, it's like, my whole point with this particular mistake of thinking everybody was my spouse, or every person that got in a relationship could be my spouse. My thing is, learn to be okay with not being married young. That is my thing. Most people think you got to get married by 21, you got to get married by 18, you got to get married by 25, or whatever the case may be. Stop with the timelines. Do not go with the timelines. I know you want to be young. I know you want to have kids, but trust me, it is better to be in your singleness and to know who God is and really have God heal things in you than to get in a marriage broken and thinking that your spouse is going to heal you, because your spouse is not going to heal you at all. Only God can heal you. Your spouse is not your savior. Like, he's not, or she's not. Like, let's be real here. So, one, making sure that you're, God's girl or God's guy. Two, your next spouse or the next person that you're in a relationship is not always your spouse. And it's okay to date around. It's okay to date around, go out in a public setting, get to know people without having sex, and really getting to know some of the qualities that you like and that you don't like. What are deal breakers? What aren't deal breakers? So that way, when God presents your spouse to you and you have that discernment, okay, I have peace about this. I believe God is telling me this is the one. I'm going to go for it. Okay? But number 3 is learning not to be too comfortable in not setting up boundaries. This was one of my biggest mistakes. Like, let me say that. I got too comfortable and I stopped putting up boundaries. And when I say I got too comfortable, that meant during my courting phase, I knew in order to keep it godly and in order to keep it holy, in order to keep it righteous or right before my God and making sure that I did what I was supposed to do, I was to set boundaries and say, no, you can't spend the night, or no, I'm not going to wear this dress around him, or no, we cannot kiss like this, or no, you cannot grab me here, or no, like stuff like that. I set up boundaries. No, we cannot go on a date at 11:30 at night at your house. No, we are not Netflixing and chilling or Huluing and staying home. Like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And this is one of my biggest mistakes to this day, where I look back and I'm like, I could have avoided so much pain and hurt if I just would have kept my boundaries and I would have not gotten too comfortable. I think sometimes as Christian singles, we get comfortable because the first couple weeks or the first couple months, we've been good. We haven't slipped up. We haven't had sex. We haven't, touched or, looked at certain things. So we get comfortable and we stop reading our word. We stop seeking God. We stop praying about things. And right when we get comfortable, that's when the enemy sneaks in and he really starts putting things in our mind and making us feel comfortable, like, oh, you're good, you're strong enough to be in this situation, or this person's not going to do that, or whatever the case may be. And for me, that was my downfall. Before I met my husband, there were several people where I knew 100% I was not supposed to be around them. But I'm like, I'm strong enough. I've been reading my Bible. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. And for a time, I would be good. I would not even fool with half of the stuff they would offer. I'm like, that's trash. No, I'm not doing that. Nope. And then after I got to know them, after they made me feel comfortable, I let my hair down in a sense. I laughed. I, shared some personal details and we was just all cool and I got to know them better. I start becoming more comfortable and then my boundaries started to change. They started to come over later and I was going over their house later and we was, going out later without friends around us where we had people keeping us accountable. I was not able to things that I was non-negotiable with, I became negotiable with. And that sucked. Like, looking back, I was like, if I was who I am now, looking back, I would have never even been in certain situations or certain relationships with certain people if I knew who I was now in God. And even for transparency moment, even when it came to my husband and I, we instantly connected. We was like thick as thieves the moment we connected. Like, people would see us and think like, oh, they've been together for years. And it was like, nah, homie, we've been together for days. Like, we've been together for days, weeks. And even months. Like, my husband and I didn't date long. We dated for 7 months before we got engaged, and was engaged for a week and got married. But I remember us like feeling so comfortable with us. Like, I remember my husband at that time, he was my boyfriend, my husband wanting to go home. And I didn't mind him going home, but this man was falling asleep at my house. Like, couldn't keep his eyes open. Like, he was walking to his car, he would get in his car, start the car, and like, my husband is the type of husband that can fall asleep anywhere. Like, we could be in a grocery store, if this man is tired and find a seat, he's sleeping. Like, that's how my husband is. So he would get in the car and he would start the car, and I'd be like, all right, I'll see you later. You know, we hug and I would leave. And we always shared locations with each other because he was traveling so far. He was traveling almost 2 hours to see me, that I would look like, hold up, like, he's not moving. And I would look and he would fall asleep. He would be asleep in the car. So I'd be like, nah, you can't drive 2 hours and be knocked out. Like, that's too dangerous. So it went from, you know, sleeping, you know, opposites of each other, or sleeping like on a mattress, air mattress, or on a couch or whatever, to, oh, you can sleep in a bed side by side next to each other. And for the longest, even with us sleeping like that, we still wasn't doing anything. We still wasn't, you know, sleeping with each other. But at the same time, we both felt that gut-wrenching conviction, like, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know, you're not supposed to be doing that. And eventually we did slip up. And when we slipped up, baby, when we slipped up, I remember crying. I was so convicted. Like, I was so convicted, y'all, that I remember just bawling my eyes out. Like, in that moment, like, you in the mid action, like, you about to get it started. And the moment it started, we both looked at each other like, okay, we looked at each other like Adam and Eve probably looked at each other in the garden, where when they realized they was naked, like, oh snap. Like, we looked at each other like, whoa, like, hold up. So I instantly bawled, crying, teary-eyed. Like, I was snotty, ugly nose. Like, it was terrible. And in that moment while I was crying, I remember looking up, and I remember seeing my husband, who was my boyfriend at that time. I remember seeing him prostrate on my bedroom floor, bawling his eyes out. Bawling his eyes out. And in that moment, it was like, what have I done? Like, I made my husband sin, like my future husband, because I knew that man was going to be my husband. But in that moment, I felt like, what have I done? Like, I put all the blame on me. In that same moment, I was like, that's going to be my husband. Not because, oh, we sinned and, you know, we stopped, but because he loved God the same way I loved God. He repented the same way I repented. He knew what was wrong the same way I knew what was wrong. And I think because for the longest in our relationship, we stayed away from sex. We were able to talk about certain things. We were able to look at certain things. And I do appreciate him for that. And we've talked about, you know, things that we messed up in our like courting phase, things that we wish we could go back and change. At that same time, we looked at those things and used it to fuel us to do better in our courting, the rest of our courting and the rest of our marriage. Like, we looked at those things and was like, all right, this is what we have to change. This is what we need to do. I remember when we were dating, one of our boundaries was like, if we was like sitting with each other or kissing each other, if we kissed, but it was more than just a kiss and it was starting to get rowdy, like, we would be like, all right, take a lap. Like, we would stop and we would literally walk around like a block or walk up and down the street and just calm ourselves down and be like, all right, we cool. And we knew that was our boundary point, and we literally let that slide leading up to that point of, our mistake, and then we like, all right, we got to get that back. So I would definitely say setting boundaries and knowing that, you know, it's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to, you know, let God push things out. He set boundaries to protect us, not to hinder us. So that's one thing I would say. Number 4, actually, I think it's number 4. Anyway, I'll correct it down below. But my other thing would be therapy. I wish during my singleness that I really went to therapy, because because I went through a lot, y'all. Like, let's be honest. I went through a lot as a child, and my mother who watches this, she might be like, girl, what did you go through? But it was a lot of mental stuff that I went through. Like, it was some physical stuff that I went through, which I will share later with you guys. It was some physical stuff that, you know, I went through that I wasn't comfortable sharing until a couple years ago. But it was also a lot of mental stuff that I went through. And it was also a lot of like shame and embarrassment that I went through. And I think going to therapy before getting married, or even going to therapy while courting or while in a marriage, is so healthy, y'all. It's so healthy. Like, I wish I would have went through therapy to talk about some of the issues that I went through, because it would have helped me, you know, learn how to communicate with my husband. It would have taught me how to better maneuver some feelings when it came to past incidents and how it affects my now relationship with my husband. And of course, like, being married 3 years, those things come out, and we have learned how to talk about them, and we have learned how to, you know, maneuver and work through them. But, you know, everything isn't, you know, peaches and cream always when you get married. Like, when you get married, all of your problems doesn't just go away. Like, you don't just get healed out of nowhere. Like, it's not like you get married and like, oh, doubt, shame, embarrassment, all that stuff goes away. It's like, no, it's still there. It's going to come out in different ways. And I really, you know, urge anybody who needs mental help, who needs emotional help, spiritual help, physical, whatever the help is that you need, especially mental, go get therapy. It is nothing wrong with, you know, getting therapy and being a Christian, because we go through things too. Like, yes, we pray, we fast, we talk to God about it. But sometimes it is nice to have someone else, especially a Christian counselor, to be a sounding board for us, especially if we feel like we don't have friends or family around us to really, you know, talk our things through. I know for me, I have recently signed up with BetterHelp. And although I haven't, you know, started my sessions yet, I have looked on their site. I have contacted a counselor, or a counselor has contacted me, actually. And I am ready. I'm ready to jump into this therapy. I'm ready to talk about some things, because in order for me to be a healthy and whole woman, I have to get some of this stuff out, and I have to learn how some of the stuff that I've actually went through as a child can affect my relationship with God. And if it's affecting my relationship with God, it gotta go. It has to go. So I am signing up with BetterHelp. This is not sponsored, by the way. This is not sponsored, guys. But I have signed up with BetterHelp. Once I start doing my sessions, of course, I will do another video and let you guys know how it goes. But I have heard great things about it. And I know when I start therapy, I definitely want my girl Jackie Hill Perry's and Preston Perry hoodie that says "Therapy and Jesus," because that's so true. It's so true. It is okay to be in therapy and love Jesus. Like, a lot of us as Christians, a lot of the church have deemed it as something not to do, but it's so needed. So please, if you need help, please seek out a counselor in your area. Go online, find the help that you need. It is okay. And I wish I would have done it sooner, because a lot of things that I went through and a lot of things that my husband and I went through could have been avoided if I would have got that help. So yeah. And last topic, guys. Last topic is enjoying my singleness. So one thing that I wish I would have done more, although I love being married and I don't wish to go back to the pool, like I don't wish to be back out in the streets. I really wish I would have enjoyed singleness more. And the reason why I say this as a married woman is because when you're single, you only worry about yourself. So there are some things that I wish I would have got in order way better than I did. Like, I've always had finances in order, but I started letting certain things slip, or I started feeling like, oh, I just get to that later. Financially, I wish I would have been in a better state when I met my husband. I wish I would have traveled more as a single woman, excuse me, because now that I'm married, it's not like I'm going to be going on all these single girls trips. That's just not going to happen. Now, I do have married women that I can go on, girls trips with, but it's different from, being married and going with your married friends, where sometimes that's all you talk about is, oh, I miss my husband, or I want to be with my husband, or whatever. Being single and just picking up and being able to travel and go wherever you want was nice. It would have been nice. I did take 2 solo trips, but that was like going to see family and then going to a conference, so it wasn't really like solo. So yeah, traveling more while single, worrying about yourself, getting your finances in order, really taking that time to, zone in on God, praying more, fasting more, seeking God more. And it's so important that you do this in your singleness, because while you're single and you're seeking God, God will reveal things to you about yourself, about, the next person that you may not see if you're involved with someone, especially if you're sexually involved, because it blocks our view and it blocks our vision and our ear gates and stuff from hearing and seeing God. So being single and really being able to focus on what God is telling you to do and guiding you to do, and teaching you and learning and teaching you discernment, like, that is huge as a single person, because then okay, this is not the relationship I need to be in. This is not the church I need to be going to. This is not the job I need to be in. And those things you're able to maneuver a little bit more as a single person versus being married and being accountable for another person and making decisions with another person, and being able to really just have that peace of mind coming home, doing what you want. That's all the joys of singleness. And sometimes we get it, confused, or, we don't like it because society tells us, oh, you need to be with somebody. You need to be able to be comfortable watching Netflix with somebody and chilling with somebody late at night. You don't. It's okay to be single. It's okay to enjoy, your single time. Go take yourself out. Go get your nails done. Go get a massage. Go play a basketball game. Go take a solo trip. Go start a business. Read a book. Write a book. Start a conference. Do the things that God is calling you to do in your singleness, and really know who you are and really know the things that you like. Because when you get married, you still need those things. You still need to know who you are. You still need to know who God is. You need to know his word, because you don't want to be married and don't know how to cover your spouse in prayer, and don't know how to cover your spouse when you're seeking God and talking to your spouse about God. You don't want to be married and your spouse is telling you anything and you believe it because you haven't read the word for yourself. So being single and really being able to, focus on yourself, focus on God is crucial, especially when it comes to learning how to maneuver the married life and, really being happy. When you're single and you learn how to be happy with yourself, that's the key. When you're single and you learn how to be happy with yourself and happy with God, then you get into a marriage and you learn that happiness doesn't come from your spouse. Happiness comes from within. Happiness comes from God. So I would definitely say enjoy your singleness. Do not be in a rush. to get married. Like, it's beautiful to be married, and it's beautiful to be married to the right person. But please enjoy your singleness. Enjoy traveling by yourself, you know, getting that car, opening that business, you know, creating a nonprofit. Do the things that you wish to do now. Know who God is, be guided by God, and really take your time. Your spouse will come, everything will work out, and please, 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 don't get too comfortable and focus on God, guys. All right, guys, so that's the end of this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Those are just some of the mistakes that I made as a single, some of the things that I wish I could change, or some things that I wish I would have embraced more during that time in my life. If you are single and you are going through it, or you have made a mistake, first and foremost, do not beat yourself up. It is okay to make a mistake. Just get back up and keep fighting. If you are single and you are learning some things about yourself, comment down below. If you are married and you know you have some advice that you wish you could have gave to someone, or to your earlier self, comment down below. I will drop down in my comments and pin them some of the things that I didn't speak about in this video that I wish I could have told my younger self. I love you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you are not a part of the Unveiled family, please consider being a part. Please hit that subscribe button, and of course hit that bell so you can turn on notifications and know every time when I upload. Make sure that you like this video, and if you are a single, or if you know somebody who is going through singleness and you think this video could help them, share the video, and please invite them to come over to this little part of the internet. I love you guys. I wish you the best, and I will see you guys soon.